Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Proline Daily. I'm John Cranton in Las Vegas. It is Tuesday. We got tournament action, and I'm joined by world champion handicapper Jim Feist. We're going to take a look at NBA game going on Tuesday night, as well as an NIT play. Plus, Jim is going to fill you in on some of the big line movement for these big March, big dance games coming up. Jim, first of all, let's talk about your record. 52-32 college basketball run. What a sizzling Sunday it was. And you got a special, monster special for Tuesday for everybody to get on board.
You're right, John. I have 3 days for $5. That's not $5 big dollars. That's $5 grocery dollars. And that includes a high roller that will be going as well. They just call 866-546-9467. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and vote on the latest Proline poll question of the week on Twitter at Jim Feist Sports.
That's right. That poll question has to do with the surprising college basketball tournaments or conference teams that have actually excelled. Get on Jim's website, Twitter page, Twitter at jimfeist.sports, and you can vote right away. All right, let's start off with one of these NIT games going on Tuesday. You got Georgia Tech playing Ole Miss, a battle down south. Line Ole Miss at home, 4.5-point favorite, up a little bit, the total of 144, and it's a clash of styles here as Ole Miss has been running up tempo for Andy Kennedy, while Georgia Tech is just a terrific defensive team under this first-year coach in Josh Patner. Start with Georgia Tech because they've really played hard for this coach. You know, new coaches, they want to impress in their first year, and we saw this team all season long, number 13th in the nation in field goal shooting defense. That is clearly their calling card. They got this freshman in Josh Okogie in the backcourt who scores, but Ben Lammers is a terrific 6'10 junior up front. They got him averaging almost 10 rebounds per game. He's quite a defensive force in the low post. They have 19 wins on the season and 15 losses, but some of those wins are very impressive. They knocked off North Carolina, Florida State, and Notre Dame, all teams in the top 20, and they've been very good in the role of underdog. They've done well in this tournament, beating Indiana as a 2.5 dog, 75-63. And then Belmont, they just totally turned on the defensive forces there, held Belmont to 57 points in a double-digit win. It was only a 4-point home favorite. Now they head out on the road, but hey, in the road of underdog, this Yellow Jacket team 5-1 against the spread. And when they face a team with a winning percentage above 60%, they have been sensational for a while, 37-13 against the spread. Going to get to Ole Miss first, but Jim, there's a little bit of line movement on this game too, right? Favoring the home court?
Yeah, the home courts in some of these smaller tournaments can be very strong at times, and there's no question Mississippi has been a very strong home court, and they played very well. They have done extremely well. This is a difficult game, I would say, for Georgia Tech to be on the road. This is Ole Miss is the number 5 seed in this thing, and Georgia Tech 6. I think it's going to be very tight. I don't see an edge in the game. That's why I personally did not bet it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It's tough to pick the side in this one. I will look a little bit at the total, but I like the coach for Georgia Tech, what he's done, and then Andy Kennedy at Ole Miss. This guy is 9-5 in NIT play when he takes Ole Miss here, and here they are playing very well again, winning these first 2 games, and then doing it with offense, scoring 91 points against Monmouth as a dog, and then 85-80 victory over Syracuse, normally a good defensive team, but that was a high-scoring shootout, and they were a 7.5-point dog in that one. Now they come home. They have a nice big 3 in Deandra Burnett, who's a junior guard in the backcourt, along with Terrence Davis, a sophomore guard. He averages 15 points per game. And then up front, they have Sebastian Saez, who pulls down 11.3 rebounds per game. So it's a really nice balance that they have. And it's also a pretty strong offensive team inside and out. At home, 6-1 against the spread. They're also 7-2-1 over the total when they face the ACC. And right now they're winning and covering a 10-4 run, both straight up and against the spread, and 8-2-1 over the total. Defenses often get stronger as teams go into these tournament plays because the games mean more and both teams want to get to the title game and win. So we have a total of 144. Have to look at maybe an under game as Georgia Tech has that dominant defense, and when they play non-conference games, 12-4 under the total. All right, let's take a look at an NBA game, Spurs against the Timberwolves. But first, any line movement on some of these big dance games that are coming on later in the week.
Well, we start back up again in the NCAA on Thursday, and there's been some movement. There's been a great trend to the overs in these NCAA tournaments so far, but the numbers have been climbing up rather steadily. So I wouldn't say that you should follow that right now. We might be ending up for the funeral. The party might already be over. I wouldn't chase numbers. But right now, Kansas opened up 456. It's 156. It's up to 5. The total stayed the same. Oregon, Pick'em in 146, and the total is up to 47 or 46 and a half. But Michigan's gone to the favorite. Now, Michigan is, of course, the tournament darling right now, and they are now a 1-point favorite. In San Jose, West Virginia plays Gonzaga. Gonzaga opened up 347, and it's 48 now, and it's still 3. There's been a lot of talk on that game that originally I'm listening to conversation by people, and a lot of people thought that maybe West Virginia should be the favorite in the game. As an interesting comment when you have a number 1 seed, and they're saying make them an underdog. So maybe that's because Gonzaga has fallen asleep with big leads in the first 2 games that they played. Xavier is playing against Arizona, and Arizona is a very tough team. And they're a 7.5-point favorite, 143.5 up to 144.5, 145. So there's definitely an over move on that one, as is the Gonzaga game as well. But 7.5 is the total, is the line, and that has not moved. Moving off to Friday, Wisconsin, who knocked off a number 1 seed in Villanova, plays Florida. Game opened Florida 1.5. It's up to 2, and the total stayed at 131.5. UCLA and Kentucky are going to play. This is a rematch. UCLA beat Kentucky earlier in the year, and so it set us up a little bit of a revenge situation for Kentucky, but it's also a familiarity situation, couldn't get that word out, between the two. Kentucky opened up in one spot, 1.5-point favorite, but now it's UCLA 1 in some spots, but Kentucky 1 in other spots. So Pick'em would probably be the right number if you're looking for a consensus line, because you can see 1 in either direction. 169 is probably the right total. The next game, Butler, North Carolina. Butler and the Carolina's 7, never moved. It stayed the same. 152.5 up to 153. Interesting thing that I've seen is the way these conferences were supposed to line up. ACC was supposed to be the strongest conference in the land. They're not. They had 9 teams in. They got one team left, and that's North Carolina. Butler is an off-brand type of conference, so they're still in there. UCLA and Kentucky, both of their conferences have done pretty well. That's the Pac-12 and the SEC. Then South Carolina and Baylor. Baylor is another the school. It's not in one of the big. Well, actually, it is. Baylor. I was thinking Butler. Baylor is actually a Big 12 team, and they're playing South Carolina. And South Carolina is probably one of the bigger surprises, especially the way they scored 65 second-half points against Duke the other night. That's 65 points against Duke, 65 points in 40 minutes. I have to keep saying that because it's hard to actually believe it. And that's not without overtime. That's without overtime. 65 points in 40 minutes against a big-name school like Duke. Pretty remarkable. Wisconsin, of course, and Florida, big schools, big conferences. Nothing a surprise there, except that, of course, a team that knocks off number 1, Wisconsin, is, they have a pedigree. They've had good players for a number of years. They've gone far for a number of years. Not a donkey school at all. And then when you get over to West Virginia, tough conference against Gonzaga. That's one of those small conferences out west that nobody really gives a lot of respect to, but they're a number 1 seed. They've had big leads in their first 2 games, but they blew the big leads. and then they hung on to win. Uh, West Virginia, a big win the other day. Their pressure defense is going to be interesting for Gonzaga to look at that. Xavier is a big surprise also. They're playing Arizona, who's a very tough team, well coached, lots of skill position players there. Xavier has played exceptionally well, and when they fought through a big injury loss this year, and they're playing so well. Anybody would have said after that injury loss they'd be in the Sweet 16. You'd have been shocked. But there's some interesting games coming up Thursday and Friday, and I look forward to all of them.
Oh, it's going to be a great week. Let's jump to the NBA here for Tuesday night. You got the Spurs playing the Timberwolves. Minnesota is a home underdog here of 5, and it's a young team with this new coaching staff, and they play their best ball at home, which is common with young teams. 18 wins, 18 losses at home. Not stellar. It shows you that they're rebuilding. However, they do play hard for this coaching staff. They're on a 3-game losing streak, and they got blown out. However, all 3 of those games were on the road, and the coaching staff must be frustrated because they didn't play any defense. Gave up 117 at Boston, 123 at Miami, and then 123 at New Orleans. However, their last home game, they were only a 2-point favorite over Washington. Won the game easily, 119-104. That's part of it. Or that's not part, but they are, when they face the Western Conference, 8-1 against the spread. And when they face winning teams, 17-5 against the spread. The one drawback with them, in addition to youth, would be defense is not that sharp. 28th in the NBA in field goal shooting defense. Then you got a Spurs team that's coming in. They certainly have plenty to play for. Only 2 games back of the Golden State Warriors as they sit now in the number 2 seed in the West. They're one of the top teams in the NBA. And you'd think that they'd be motivated to get the number 1 seed. Well, I'm sure they are, although the last 6 games, just 3-3 record. And part of it is the injuries, the health that they've dealt with much of the season. But right now, they're actually getting healthy for the first time in a while. LaMarcus Aldridge is playing, despite the fact that he had what looked to be a very serious injury or ailment. And last 2 games, he's played 30-plus minutes. So clearly, they wouldn't put him through that if he wasn't more healthy than we first thought. They're not covering games, though. A 3-8 spread run. They do come off a big rout of the Kings, but that was at home, and the Kings really can't do very much of anything. So the way I look at this game, I'll give you the spread trends on it. Spurs have done very well, 7-3 against the spread, and a perfect 5-0 ATS here in Minnesota. The road team has been a perfect 6-0 ATS, but they've always been high-scoring games of late, 7-3 over the total. That'll be a fun game to watch as we got youth versus the veteran Spurs on Tuesday. All right, Jim, have to mention that record again. You're certainly cashing plenty of tickets these days. 52-32 college basketball run, and you got a special for everybody to get on board on Tuesday.
That's right. You got that $5 special. It's absolutely incredible, and you definitely don't want to miss out. Like John said, awesome record so far. 52-32 in college basketball. It's always been one of my strengths. $5, including a high roller. Just call 866-546-9467. And be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and answer the poll question. And look me up on Twitter at Jim Feist Sports.
All right, and make sure you tune in on Wednesday. Jim and Dave will be doing Proline, and then we'll be back on Thursday with another edition of Proline Daily. Good luck with the games, everyone.